جلوسوفوبيا، أو بالعربي الفصيح رهاب الخطابة العامة، الرعب الذي ينتابي البعض مجرد ما فيه حديث مباشر أمام جمهور. هلأ جمهور مش معناها إنه في مئات الأشخاص موجودين بقاعة وإنتوا بدكم تعملوا خطاب. جمهور هو أي حدا برا الكومفورت زون، يعني برا دائرة الثقة أو الراحة اللي عندكم. الأعراض تختلف. عند البعض بقول لك أنا حسيت قلبي عم بدق بحلقي، هاي أعراض مش مرئية. لكن للبعض الآخر الأعراض مرئية، في تعرق شديد، في رجة بالصوت، في رجفة بالإيد. البعض الوضع عنده كتير أسوأ اللي هو بانيك أتاك أو نوبة ذعر. لكن كل مشكلة إلها حل، وهاي واحدة من المشاكل اللي إلها حل. إحنا بنحكي عن مشاهير شغلهم مبني على التواصل كان عندهم هاي المشكلة. هاريسون فورد، جوليا روبرتس، ملياردير وارين بافيت كان عنده مشكلة بالخطابة أو بالإلقاء أمام جمهور، وكان عم بيقول إنه بشبابه كان إذا كان بمجموعة وطلب منه حدا إنه يعرف باسمه كان يتوتر، لحد ما أخذ كورس عند ديل كارنيجي وهو صغير وحل المشاكل وحل كتير مشاكل. لنحل هاي المشاكل معاي ديفيد دريفر متخصص بالخطاب العام، متخصص بالإلقاء، كمان متخصص بالتنويم المغناطيسي الإدراكي، يسمى بكوجنيتيف هيبنوسيس، وبالنيورو لينغويستيك بروجرامينج أو البرمجة اللغوية العصبية. كل هاي الأمور رح نحكي فيها مع ديفيد. Thank you very much for being on the podcast.
You're welcome. Very good to be here on this cold evening.
Very cold evening indeed. And I should have been very stressed to say a monologue in front of a master of his craft when it comes to public speaking, but I think I did very well. I'll begin with the very beginning. Mm-hmm. What brought you to this field?
For me, it was a deep-seated fear of not being able to speak up in public, do any form of public speaking, any presentation, and in particular, when I found myself as a salesperson or a business development guy. So you cannot do what you need to do if you have a deep-seated fear of speaking up in front of people.
Okay, how did that go?
Well, for the first kind of year or two, it was a real challenge, especially when I was put out into the account management role, roving around the country, visiting people, meeting C-level executives, and having to stand up and deliver a presentation. So it moved from I was okay when I was selling things over the phone, but when I had to go out there and I was out my comfort zone, it was terrible.
What I know is there's a deep-rooted reason behind that. You think it has to do with your childhood or an incident in your childhood?
100%.
Which is, if you don't want to disclose it, that's fine.
No, I'm very happy to tell my story because I think that's kind of the impact of what we're talking about, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, so I started to explore why I was feeling this way, and for me it was about, I was literally getting sick, I was having hot sweats, I was forgetting things mid-sentence, and that's not good when you're trying to make a living out of selling things, right? So I thought I should go and see somebody. And coincidentally, I'd been reading and somebody had been telling me about cognitive hypnotherapy.
Okay.
So I'd been exploring that, what is this field? Because somebody said to me, you should go and see somebody about your fears. And have you tried cognitive hypnotherapy? Obviously, I had no idea what it was. Do you want me to talk about what cognitive hypnotherapy is? Or
yes, because I just briefly, so that we keep much of the time about public speaking, but
yes.
Is it the hypnosis where you control me?
Yeah, and I think that's the myth that needs to be dispelled, right? So you've got medical hypnosis, you've got stage hypnosis, which is what everybody fears. And then you've got cognitive hypnotherapy, which quite simply is using the subconscious state to relax the mind and go and play with memories. Okay? So
you don't try to erase or change memories or...
We do try to change memories, but only the memories that you want to change. So in our mind, an experience creates a memory, right? And in the mind, there is a whole network of neural connections. And a memory is literally A equals B, right? I had an experience that made me feel this way.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're negative, right? A dog ran at me at a park when I was 4 years old. Therefore, stay away from dogs. Fear of dogs, right? A equals B. But if you don't want A to equal B anymore, then you can, under hypnosis, relax the subconscious mind and literally reframe those limiting beliefs so that A doesn't equal B anymore. And if A doesn't equal B anymore, there's no fear.
Am I conscious during this
Yes,
process?
absolutely.
So it's not like you have full access into the vault of my subconscious and you do whatever you want as a therapist, and I just
And then you wake up
and
and yeah, no, absolutely not. So again, one of the common myths, right? Stage hypnosis, we don't need to go into that, but that is quite often people that want to do things, that are extrovert, that will get up on stage, that will visualize different things happening to them. This is about, you give the therapist permission to work with you. Right, to work with you. And it's really, they don't work on you, they work with you.
Huge difference.
Yeah, massive difference. So it's all about giving permission. So back to my story, I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a go because I understand what cognitive hypnotherapy is. A few people had told me that it had worked for them. So I thought, let's give it a try, because I cannot go through my life as a sales guy literally feeling sick for 2 days before a presentation and then worrying if I'm going to forget my words or not sell anything.
Exactly.
Right? It was debilitating. It's horrible. And for me inside, I knew I was a person who could articulate themselves. I was somebody that could engage with people. So what was stopping me? So I literally went to see a cognitive hypnotherapist. They did their stuff, we don't have the time to go into the detail, but they induced me into a trance-like state. I was fully conscious, fully aware. It's not like you think it is. And together we talked, and they acted kind of like a tour guide. And what they do is they get you to engage with the emotions that you feel when you have this limiting belief. So my sickness, in my gut, my shaking, my panicking, whatever I wanted to call it, we explored that feeling. And what you do is you track that feeling right back to the very first time that you had it. Oof. Because that is that is the time where that limiting belief was first shaped. So think about what we just mentioned. You're in a park, you're 4 years old, a dog bowls you over. You're going to be afraid of dogs, right?
Yes.
So you have to, I'm not afraid of dogs at 18 years old, 32 years old, but if it's happened at the start, right when I was a young kid, that limiting belief will reinforce itself every time I see a dog, yeah? Because your brain, your mind says, protect. So it's a protection mechanism. So, go back to the very first time that you experienced that event, understand that event, talk it through, much like you and I would be talking through things here. And then with clever skills and training, the cognitive hypnotherapist can guide you to
change the perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Allow you to understand that just because something happened to you, David, when you were X years old, in front of an audience of people, doesn't mean you can't be a salesperson, or you can't get up on stage, or you can't do a podcast with your good self, right? I couldn't have done this. No way.
You wouldn't have.
No, I would have stayed away from it. Yeah, but so that was the start of my journey. Do you want me to tell you what we found?
Please.
So I went back to a time, I engaged with my feelings of sickness, with fear, with whatever those emotions were at that time. And it was back to an incident when I was sitting down on the classroom floor, as you do when you're 6 years old, probably cross-legged, sitting there in front of the teacher. And when you do kind of drawings or paintings, and then the teacher puts them up on the wall, and at the end of term, you sit down and she gives them out, and you take them home, and you want to show it to your parents, right? Because you're really proud of what you did.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah. I was okay at drawing, right? I was quite good. So I had drawn this amazing, or I thought was an amazing giraffe, and it was pretty good, right? It was pretty good. And the teacher sort of had the pile of paintings, and I was waiting for mine. Sure enough, the teacher said, "Now, whose is this wonderful picture of a giraffe?" Now, little thing about me, I'm not great with administration, so I hadn't put my name on the painting. Okay.
You're 6.
I'm 6,
you
right?
6 years old,
yeah. Right? But I loved the painting, and she'd already said, whose is this lovely painting? So as I was about to put my hand up, some other guy sat away from me, put his hand up and said, it's mine.
The perfect bully.
Yeah. And can you imagine?
The frustration.
I can feel it now. I can still feel it now, which is amazing, right? But I put my hand up. My hand was up in front of, 30 kids in a class. And the teacher said, do you know what she said? Well, it can't be both of yours. And Johnny put his hand up first. And she gave him my painting. So I was, it's mine, hand up in front of 30 people. So what do? It's like, oh my God, everyone's looking at me.
Yeah.
Everybody's laughing.
Yeah.
I froze, What can I do? I can't say to the teacher, no, that's mine. And I was quite a shy boy, right? So I just left it.
let it
I was
go.
devastated.
The frustration.
I was devastated,
Johnny,
deflated.
Johnny, if you're listening to this, shame on you.
Exactly, Johnny. Please meet me and
give me one giraffe painting back.
Yeah, exactly. So if you think about it, all those things, me left there with my hand up, sort of not knowing what to do, people looking at me, the teachers moved on and doing something else. I was crushed inside.
Yeah.
So what does my protective brain go? David.
Don't ever be in the spotlight.
Actually be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Don't put your hand up.
Yeah.
Don't speak up.
Yeah.
And that was it. Okay, now everything probably passed. I don't know if I told my mum and dad, but, many, many years ago now. But what happens then is every time you get that opportunity to speak up, to present, to do something in the school nativity play,
you go back to the show.
Yeah, you go back to that, and your brain says, "Whoa, don't do that. Trouble ahead. Stay well away. Stay well away." And for somebody who loves to tell stories and loves to kind of share with people, that built up over the years. And of course, I still went into selling, right? And I was working in an order by phone department, many, many years ago. That was the start of my career. But it was when I was left alone to go out on the road and do that selling and present to, think about it, C-suite executive guys.
Yeah, they can be
That's like the
scary.
teacher, right?
Yeah,
So
authority.
Yeah, authoritarian
Yeah.
figures. Yeah, and I was a bit of a shy kid as well. So, that was the start of the journey, and therefore, she got me to visualize what I wanted to be. So what did I want to be wearing when I was presenting and all this stuff? So you reframe the limiting belief, and then you can do something which they call future pacing. Go out to a time ahead, imagine you being successful in presenting.
Okay.
So they have various ways of calibrating it. But, in summary, if the cognitive hypnotherapy has worked, they will ask you, okay, imagine yourself standing on stage presenting in whatever way you do, in whatever audience it is. How do you feel now? And it was really weird because I said, it's a bit weird, but I don't feel anything. Great, she said. Then it's worked, we've got somewhere. Because remember what I said, A equals B, these network of neural connections in your mind. It's not about doing anything other than making A not equal B anymore. So if B isn't around, you don't feel anything, yeah? Wouldn't it be great to stand up on stage and not feel those negative things?
Amazing.
Then you can start to build forward. And my kind of, I think, starting point for this is, if you have a deep-seated fear, then you've got to explore it, because you can do all the training, all the coaching, all the practice in the world.
But if you didn't deal with it,
it's like
it bites you back.
It's like, I don't like living in this country, so I'll just move. Well, why don't you like living in the country? Is it something to do with you? Are you not fit? You know what I mean? Rather than just running away from it, and trying to sort of do things, understand what's at the core of the problem. And that's my kind of theme, I guess my message to you or to anybody listening to this. It's like, if you really have an issue, but you want to work on it, work on your mind, work on your mental fitness side of things. Don't just do okay, you can practice, you can stand in the mirror, you can, do all the body language things that we can talk about in a
Later,
bit. Yeah,
in a bit, yeah.
The body language, the intonation, the tone, the pacing, that's not going to happen if you are completely crippled with fear.
So, David, it's interesting that you yourself then, you believed in this so much that you went to study it. with your NLP qualification as well,
Yeah.
which you mentioned before, all these connections, neuro connections, and
Yeah.
it's a way to reprogram
Yes.
them to lead into more desirable outcomes. Stepping forward, you managed your career well. You step now into you're wearing a different hat
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
which has to do with training people. And let's go to the bits that people are really looking forward to hear when it comes to public speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, there are universal rules for this, regardless of the language you're speaking, whether it's Arabic, English, French. I'll ask you a bit later about the cultural impact.
Yeah.
But what do you think are the major things that you have to abide with in order to be a better public speaker?
Yeah. Yeah. So, first of all, preparation. Okay.
Preparation.
Yeah. Of course, you're going to be more likely to prepare if you're not confident, right? But it doesn't matter how confident. I could have come today and done no preparation, and we probably would have had a good conversation. But being open and honest, I still have to think, what's the best way for you to perceive me and the audience to perceive me in the context of what we're doing, right? So proper planning. So plan your speech, structure it. What is the message that you want to give across? How do you want to be perceived? So tailor it to your audience, yeah?
In that particular point, when you say tailor it to the audience, so I should be aware if people are they're like, should I be very aware of their backgrounds? Does it make sense to like tone down? Of course it does. If you're talking to children, it's not the same as talking to adults.
Yeah.
But does it make a difference whether this is like a political setting, a business setting, or it's all the same really?
So I think if you're going to be speaking, if you're a politician that's going to be speaking, then you're going to be aware of your audience, right? Or you should be aware of your audience. You should be aware. If I'm doing a sales presentation, I should know my stuff. I should know who I'm presenting to. And I think more importantly, the skill and the trick is to sort of try and put yourself in the shoes of the people that you are, or the person or the people that you're speaking to, right? So you could have given me some ideas about what we wanted to talk about today. I could have come back and done something completely different, right? But we'd check in with each other. I would sort of say, Hamid, do you want, we share ideas because it's got to work for your audience, right? I don't want your audience to be bored. You don't want the audience to be bored and as not to have an engaging, good conversation. So as well as being logical and focused and what do people want to hear? So stories are a good idea, right? So,
Always.
Yeah, we go and see a comedy act, right? The best comedians, what do? They just tell stories.
Correct.
Yeah, and they tell relatable stories, yeah? So they tell stories quite often that you wouldn't openly talk about because often they're quite risque, and the best ones I find are ones that can tell great stories, engage you and make you feel, oh my gosh, that's exactly how it is, yeah?
Relatable.
Yeah, relatable. So if you're a politician, you want and you are trying to gain votes for speaking to people in underprivileged areas or youths or different cultures, you've got to know what they are, right? You've got to understand them, not to the nth degree, but you've got to engage with them because it's all about building trust, right? So, and it's not. There's a lot of subconscious stuff going on as well, right? So
all the time.
All the time that, body language, and we can talk about that. But, the short answer to your question is, I don't, if somebody comes to me as a cognitive hypnotherapist or a coach and we want to talk about public speaking, it's not so much about I need to be a better public speaker in my political arena. It's like, okay, what are the challenges that you're facing today? What are you doing that's going well? What are the things you're not doing so well? And then explore those. And there's a whole list of things, right? So, organization, preparation, clarity and pace. Okay.
Pace. Tell me more about that.
Okay. So I am naturally I'm a visual guy. I'm a fast speaker. I'm energetic and passionate. Some people love that. But other people would rather that I calm down a bit.
Slow down. Yeah. Yeah.
So if we use...
Would you say the majority of people would like... Would you like to hear somebody who's taking his time?
I think, from the training that I've done, the world is made up of different types of people, right? Visual, structure, process, auditory people. So an auditory person might find it slightly harder to understand me if I'm speaking fast. So I consciously would like to slow down, right? Other people who are like me think, oh my gosh, you're so passionate, you're so energetic, you're so engaged in what you do, you believe in what you do so much that passion shines through. So I think if you are a competent speaker or somebody that wants to work on your game, actually looking at things like clarity, pace, tone, pauses.
Pauses. Pauses are important.
Hugely. Pause.
Because
people need to process the information that you're talking about. So it goes back to that. If I'm talking like this and it's, whoa, I wish he'd slow down. Yeah, some people can't process that information. But we also think that we are speaking slower than we are, right? I watched myself.
Yeah.
I watched myself. I was doing a presentation at a conference in Africa. Another area of work that I get involved in. It was 200, 300 people in an environment I had no idea about.
Okay.
And the technology didn't work. My clicker didn't work, right?
Nice.
So, and we were timed. I had 10 minutes to get all my energetic, passionate, all my energetic, passionate stuff needed to come out. But my biggest, I guess, concern and my biggest point of consciousness was there are these awkward pauses. When I watched the video of it back, it was great. It was fine. It's not awkward because we, the worrying part of me was fixated on, oh my gosh, this clicker, this time distortion. Now, the clicker didn't work for 3 seconds. In my mind...
Eternity.
Come on, click, move forward. Yeah. So I think that pacing thing is really important. And if you are somebody like me, you'll notice we've calmed it down a bit now because we're talking about that. It's really important for me to be, I guess, conscious enough and capable enough to mindfully do that.
And in my head, I personally, even if you're running a meeting, it's your colleagues and you know everybody and there's nothing serious about it. But when you rush, it seems like you're running away from something or you're not confident. You just want to get it out of the way because you're not comfortable discussing it.
Good point. Great point there.
Which I thought makes sense. You need to slow down so that people do not think about what you're saying as, it must be really bad that he just wants this to be over and done with.
That's a good point. And if we think about that, so some people will be, that's a really good point, right? I think we will think people are thinking that more than they actually are. What they're probably thinking is, because it's all about them, right? They're listening to it for them to gain something positive from that experience. So they're probably there thinking, I wish he'd slowed down because I'm finding it hard to listen, to follow, right? I might really like some of the stuff they're talking about, but I wish they just slowed down a bit. Some people might, I've had enough of this. It's too fast for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the perspective. Perspective is everything.
Everything, isn't it? Yeah.
Perspective is everything.
And I think it's about being able to get yourself to a point where you are conscious enough to understand that. In meetings, I am a fast-paced speaker. If I'm doing a meeting and I sometimes still have to check myself and say, right, you're talking a bit fast. So I say, let me take a step back and slow down. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with saying, let me take a step back and slow down because I'm really conscious that I'm quite an energetic, passionate person. That's building engagement again, right?
Yeah.
He recognizes that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, you're building that trust and credibility, and you're also being vulnerable. So you're being you. Yeah. You're just being real.
A person rather than
being a person,
a robot.
Yeah. And lots of people think that you have to be super polished, 100% efficient. You don't, right? If you make a mistake, then, made a mistake, excuse me, my throat's a bit dry. I'm just going to take some water. Yeah. People like that because it's just like he was so real or she was so real.
Yeah, which makes a huge difference now that you're saying it, so that they're not, and it brings you down to their level.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's one thing. Before we move on, just a quick question. If you're doing a speech, would you recommend relying on visuals a lot? Is it an escape mechanism for you so that people focus there, not on me, on the slides?
That is a really good point. And to what you were talking about earlier, lots of people think you have to have packed slides so that they can look at it and read it. And it is an excuse, right? It is an excuse. Because if you're really confident about what... Now, look, I've got some notes here. We're sitting... my excuse, Mohammed, is that I'm so passionate and excited about this that I want to get everything across that we possibly can in the time we've got.
Yeah.
But I haven't got lines and paragraphs. If I was presenting, I would not put loads of words on slides because there's only a certain amount of people that will be looking at the slides. More people will probably be listening to you. If you're compelling, if you're authentic, if you're real, if you're giving them something they want. And, if you're in an audience in a big room, are you really going to be looking at lines of text and complex diagrams?
Somebody like me would be hoping they do.
Less is more, right? Less is more. So I think that is a really good point. Some people think, I've got to put everything on the slides. I think they do it because their fear is they're going to forget what they're talking about, right? I'm going to forget something, so therefore I put it there. But all that happens is that your brain is trying to compute the fact that you're speaking to a lot of people. You're trying to do the best job you can, and then you try to, understand, comprehend, and unpack all the stuff on the slides. If you know your stuff, then, and that's about the preparation, the practice. If you know what you're talking about and you're confident, you don't need all the words and slides, which is back to that point about preparation and, presenting in a field or an area that you're comfortable with is very different if you're just given a topic that you're not comfortable with, right? That it's completely outside your comfort zone.
Which sometimes you have to do.
Yeah, of course.
Depending on certain jobs.
That's a whole different strategy, right? So that's a whole different, how confident are you? How calm are you? Can you take the spotlight off you? Can you engage by changing things up? So things go wrong, right? Imagine in a presentation, something goes wrong, yeah? You've got no slides, okay? You don't know your materials that well. What would you do, right? How confident are you? Could you engage with the audience? Could you reframe it and say, okay, we've had some technical challenges. Rather than waiting here and just freezing, why don't we just ask if anybody's got any questions about what we talked about so far? Or, so filling time and... Skills, yeah. But that's real confidence. That's command of your audience, and confidence... A lot of people say, just be confident, yeah? How can you just be confident?
Exactly. It's not like go change your clothes.
Stand in front of the mirror and say, I am good enough, I am great, I'm amazing. No, because you're kidding yourself. Yes, you can act as if, right? And fake it until you make it does work to a certain degree. But I think it's all these different elements coming together, which really is about practice and just getting out there and doing it.
Is reading a complete no-no?
No, if you feel that it will give you the confidence, then, we've got papers in front of me, right? It wouldn't matter to me.
But that's giving you cues. You're not reading.
No, exactly. Yeah.
But for people who prepare a speech and read it, is that, if somebody comes to you and say, Coach, is that okay?
I would explore how are you using it, right? So you sitting across from me, if your nose is down and you're just literally reading verbatim from the script and then looking up, what message is that going to convey to the audience? lack of preparation, lack of knowledge,
Lack of confidence.
fear, lack of confidence.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be as authentic as you would.
Teleprompter?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's how you use it, right? But it's how you fill in around it. It's how you use, and that brings us on to points about gesturing, body language, use of the stage. So, you know, the best. I mean, a great memory of mine is I've been to see Coldplay a number of times, right?
Oh, lucky you.
Okay. I really like Coldplay, but I don't love Coldplay. But Chris Martin is fantastic showman. He's a great, you know, in modern big stadium gigs, they have the stage that goes out into the middle. They have a podium on the end. You know, Chris Martin sits down cross-legged. He plays piano. You know, he lies on the stage. He doesn't just go down the middle. He comes to the sides. He engages with you. That's engagement, right? That's like, this guy is so confident.
Yeah, he owns it. He owns the whole stadium.
He owns it.
With 100,000 people in front of him. Yeah.
And then he uses other things like the light-up bracelets and all those type of things, which add to the passion, right? But he's not afraid to explore, right? Not afraid to explore and be real and authentic. And, you know, whatever, this is not about his political views or games or what, but he's about love and peace and connectedness, right? Isn't that, you know, if you think about, what am I doing when I'm presenting or giving a speech? I'm connecting with you, you know, I'm telling you stories. I am giving you something. You're giving me your time. I should be giving you something valuable back. Yeah. So I come back to this being real, being vulnerable, be authentic. I think that is the biggest starting point. Just be you.
So what you're telling us is, no matter whether you want to rely on visuals, whether you want to read, at the end of the day, it's how you utilize it to come across as someone who's relatable and confident. So you can read, but as long as you're just not only reading, because that takes away the confidence of it. If you want to use slides, use them, but use them in a way that would multiply your confidence.
Yeah, I mean, if you're building slides to support a presentation, the slides, you use the term, they should be prompts, right? They should be prompts. Nothing should be hyper scripted, you know? They should be prompts to allow you to remind yourself of points that you want to engage with, or points of the story, or points of the talk that you want to remind yourself to get back into. So, you know, I've got multiple points here, but you and I are engaging with each other face to face. I'm into this, right? I'm in the zone. You're in the zone. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm in the zone. I'm not. You know, I know my stuff, right? And I have, you know, as you and I talk, there's different angles, right, that come out and different. Yeah. So we're being real. A script. Yeah. I'm not following a script. We haven't done this. I have not prepared for hours, right? I've done some work. But I've
it's not like we scripted that.
Yeah, I've put in the hundreds of hours to get me to a point where I can hopefully secure a good conversation.
And imagine that I'm looking at the time left. Oh, I have still so much to ask you in 7 minutes. David, 7 minutes. Body language.
Yes. Yeah.
Too much of it is a distraction, but is it required sometimes?
Absolutely, because it's whatever huge percentage of what we do, right? Our subliminal cues that we give off, you know, eye patterns, hand gestures, moving around a stage or a room. Nothing better for me to relax me than having something in my hand, whether it's a pen or whether it's a clicker, but I walk around, right?
Yeah.
Because I can put that speed into walking rather than my voice, right? So I found that walking around, engaging with different parts of the audience, you know, sometimes you catch the eye of somebody, or just budge the microphone, mistake, oh, confidence is gone.
Meltdown.
Yeah, calm down, David. I like to kind of engage different people. When you start to get used to doing presentations and public speaking, sometimes you catch the eye of certain people, right? Certain people can be a good boost for you, because if people are nodding and engaging...
Or they can kill you.
Right? But if they can kill you, then you can also try to engage them more, right? So I'd be conscious of somebody who is perhaps, you know, looking a bit bored, doesn't want to hear me or whatever. And I would therefore probably try and take that cue and think, okay, I'm disengaging somebody, right? So how could I re-engage? Should I move more towards him or her over there? So
Amazing how much thinking goes in your head in the middle of it, David.
yes, but you know what? It never used to, because I was petrified and fixated with fear. My point is, you can do all the learning, self-help, coaching, but if you are held back by a limiting belief, that's going to overtake everything, because let's think about what we're doing. We are literally fighting with our prehistoric protective brain that's saying, don't do this, you're going to fail, you're going to mess up, you know.
Which takes us back to cognitive
So
hypnosis.
It just, you know, yes, do the work, do the practice. 100 hours gets you competent, 10,000 hours world class, right? But look at the core of you, and if there is something that you need to start working on, explore that. Find out what's causing you the problem, you know, the limiting belief.
Rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Do looks really matter? Be honest.
In relation to how you come
Your
across.
appeal as a public speaker.
Oh, cool, that's subjective, isn't it? I think, you know, if
Is it part of it?
Let me ask. It can be part of it. So, but you know, it depends. Let's take away looks, right? So, let's look at how are you dressed appropriately? Are you dressed smart? Are you overdressed? Are you underdressed? Are you? It's what's the audience? What's the appropriateness for what you're doing? Yeah.
Okay.
So looks can be how you display yourself in general, but in terms of, am I a good-looking guy or is she a good-looking presenter? Maybe subconsciously, who knows, right? But it doesn't mean that, you know, if you didn't get the best gifts in the world in the looks department,
You don't have to go to a plastic surgeon.
But I think it's a really important thing, because what you could say is, okay, I don't feel comfortable with the way I look as myself, therefore I'm not as confident in public speaking. Yeah. Okay. Now, fine, but if you really want to do it, there are plenty of not great looking people out there that are amazing speakers, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. You work with clients in the Middle East. Does culture play a role? Do you find like certain cultures are more open, or they're naturally better speakers than the rest? Do you change your methods of coaching according to culture?
I think culture obviously plays a part, right? So again, if I was, you know, speaking in Africa or Asia or anywhere, the Middle East, I would want to understand my audience. You know, what are they expecting? I would probably speak to experts in that field or that region, that I would have an open, honest conversation. Is there anything that I should not do? Is there anything that I should do? How should I address people? Is my body language or the way I walk around the stage going to offend anybody? So I think you always have to be respectful, right? But if you're real and respectful, and it's back to that, if you research and do your practice and really know who you're presenting to, that's the most important thing, right? Perception is everything, yeah? So how you're perceived, like when I started working in Africa, so I'm a middle-aged white guy going on virtual calls with African senior leaders, right? I have to engage. I have to be respectful. I find that if I'm vulnerable and I ask them, and I'm human, and ask for feedback, which is really important. Ask for feedback, right? Ask for feedback. What am I going to say to you after this? How did we do? Was it all right?
Yeah.
Did it work? You know.
So, do you find certain nationalities to be, or certain cultures to produce better public speaking people than the other cultures?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, you know, you asked me about the, I've forgotten his name, Zoran, yeah?
Zoran Mamdani,
yeah.
the guy who had the whole world shocked by his victory. And he's an amazing public speaker.
Of course he is.
He's so passionate. And I sometimes think, is this fake? What's his secret? It's just like
because he's human.
Relatability.
He's engaged. Think about everything that we've said today, right? He embodies, and I'm going to pick up my notes, right? Because I did a bit of research on this. So let's quickly go through, right? He's relatable. He's authentic.
Very.
Right?
Yeah.
He is a master of modern media, right? So channels of So if I could pick up, so I sometimes have a WhatsApp group. I'm looking at the clock.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. So if I think, right, the best way for me to deliver a message to the sponsorship group at the local rugby club where I do some coaching, to parents, I have no problem picking up my, the phone, doing a selfie video of myself and posting it, right?
Yeah.
It's the most appropriate channel. Now, Zoran, he's a master of that modern media. He, when we talk about it,
thanks to his wife, obviously.
Viral posts, humor. He uses multiple different platforms. He's engaging, so he spreads his word. He listens a lot, but he's just authentic and real.
He smiles a lot.
He smiles, of course. Yeah, he's empathetic, right?
Right.
And most importantly, why does he get the votes? Because he puts himself in the shoes of other people, right?
Yeah.
So when he's speaking, presenting, he's got skin in the game. Absolutely, great skin in the game. Community connection, we talked about that. He relates to the people that he is getting the vote from, right? And there's integrity, there's his willingness to challenge power. That's an interesting one, right? So if you're going to challenge the norm, back to remember we talked about comedians.
Yes.
Comedians challenge the norm, right? Can I really speak about that on stage and get huge amounts of laughs? Yes, if I'm connected to people and they think, oh my gosh, that's exactly what people think, yeah? So he's real, he's true. So that whole sort of willingness to sort of challenge and step outside the norm, which is confidence, right? It's real confidence.
It's real confidence.
But it's not ego, it's confidence, and it's belief, right? I really believe that our listeners today, some people out there will be thinking, yeah, I really do have a fear of public speaking, and I am in a position where I need to get better at it. I really know that cognitive hypnotherapy or other forms of things are there to be explored. Back to my point is, deal with the core. Look at your mental fitness, It's not just how you practice, how you train, how you dress, how you move around, because none of that is going to be as impactful as changing the core of you so that you release yourself from those shackles of lack of belief.
Amazing. And almost 1 minute left.
Oh no, you see, I'm loving this. It's great.
Unfortunately, David, maybe on another podcast, but I have to say, thanks to that giraffe you painted when you were 6, it obviously turned you into...
Yeah, I had some, you see, I knew I wanted to, I always knew I wanted to teach or tell stories and stuff, and I've been doing it for years, and it's now just so beautiful to be here doing this because I can give back to people. It's all about that, right? It's about giving something back to your audience, and hopefully we've done so. I don't know.
Think
maybe we'll get
done
some feedback.
A lot, thanks to David. David, we can do something next time to go into a bit deeper details to some of the hypnosis stuff you've been telling me about. But until then, that's the rest of this episode. مشاهدينا شكرا جزيلا لمستمعينا ومشاهدينا، شكرا جزيلا لبقائكم معنا حتى نلتقي مجددا في بودكاست سينيتر اوفر دينر. إلى اللقاء.